Depending on how you play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Henry can be a dashing young man who sweeps all he meets off the floor, and in our KCD2 romance guide, you'll be sure to have all the medieval hearts swooning, and funnily enough, we're recording this on Valentine's Day, so it feels oddly appropriate. But like making potions, romancing characters can be a multi-step process that can see you ending up with diddly squat. If you do romance a character, you will receive the time well spent buff, which gives you a +1 boost to your strength, agility and vitality that can come in handy. We can quickly show this by going to one of the bathhouses, which is the quickest and, feels weird to say, easiest way of getting the buff. Here we are at the Zhelahov bathhouses in the Trotsky region, but there are plenty of bathhouses across the map. Once you're at a bathhouse, you want to talk to the bathhouse owner and ask for their services, and it'll be the most expensive option, and you can tell because it'll have the little love heart next to it, and any sort of romantic dialogue option will have this love heart. You'll quite often get some sort of remark afterwards, and it's not always pleasant, so let's just get out of here.
Just watch where you're going next time.
Now, as you can see, we can see the effects of the buff, giving us a +1 to our strength, vitality, and agility. But if you're looking for some loving with a bit more substance, there's a few characters in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 that you can romance, the first of which being Clara. And you first meet Clara during the quest Back in the Saddle, where Henry and Hans Capon are sent to Nabokov Fortress. When you arrive, you can fight someone called Michael to preserve the honour of Hans, and after the duel you can talk to Clara who can heal your wounds. At this stage, it's not entirely important which you choose, so just go for the cheekiest one, that's what I did. During the conversation, she will ask you about your life, and you can tell her about your nightly duties, and when asked to help her pick herbs for potions, select the dialogue option, "I can't say no to a comely lady."
I will be only too happy to escort such a comely maid.
Along the way, you can tell her about all your chivalrous deeds, and this will give you more reputation with her. Once you arrive at the spot, quickly pick some sage, poppy, and marigold and go back to her, and she'll lead you to this little glade.
I've got everything.
There, she'll tell you a riddle, and select the option. I think she's called Clara,
And now for your reward.
Awooga! Later on during the quest, the Finger of God, Henry and all will be besieged within the Nabokov Fortress. Clara wants to heal the prisoners, but the guards won't let her as they want her to tend to their own wounded first. Clara will ask you to help the wounded men Mark and Zwerk, who can be found at the lower part of the battlements. And to heal Mark, follow these steps. Clean his wounds with schnapps, bandage him up, give him a painkiller potion, and don't give him something to drink. To heal Zwerk, follow these steps. Clean his wounds with schnapps, stitch his wounds up, bandage his wounds, rub chamomile brew on his ankle, and give him some of your finest alcohol. In my case, it was fine wine. Go back to Clara and tell her you're finished. Next, ask her if she's finished working, and then select "There must be someone you care about." And finally, you can select either skill check, being "No walk today" or "Getting a drink." And once you finish all the tasks for the day, you can go to Clara's cabin and she will join you. Later on in the game, you will meet Rosa Ruthard, daughter of the Lord of Ruthard. Rosa is smart, and you'll gain better reputation with her if you compliment her intelligence without it being in the context of being a woman. And without spoiling anything, Rosa knows of a way to get into Malashov Castle which the players need to infiltrate. As an aside, Rosa asks you to find a book for her. This can be found in Otto von Bergov's wife's room, which is one floor from the top. After the quest, make sure to read the book before talking to Rosa again, as they will quiz you on it. To increase your reputation with Rosa, you'll want to have a high scholarship rating in order to deduce that she is the author of the book. Later, Rosa will ask for your help to finish the book, and to increase your reputation as much as possible, say that the story should be about a woman and that she should have noble intentions. Finally, Rosa will ask you to pose for a drawing. Later on in the plot, many of the characters are at Robosh, and after coming attack from Bergov's forces, Henry and Rosa must sneak back into Ruthard's palace. This is done by using underground passageways, along which there will be a deep puddle that you need to carry Rosa over. Don't hesitate and select the option to carry her straight away. And eventually, you will make your way back to Ruthard Palace. After clearing out some bandits who have moved in, you'll be in Rosa's bedroom. Comfort Rosa by selecting the following options. It will be alright. Allies are our most valuable asset when Rosa asks about saving her father over the silver. And maybe it won't be necessary when Rosa says the two of them will have to part ways. Finally, there will be a timed section where you need to select Kiss Rosa and a cutscene will ensue. Now with the next two characters, Katherine or Hans, it's going to be one or the other towards the end of the game, so we'll go over each, but just be aware you can't go for both. And starting with Katherine, and after uncovering their true identity, there's a series of options during dialogue that you will want to select. As a general rule of thumb, Katherine dislikes bravado and would rather you don't take unnecessary risks. Anytime Katherine is worried about the rest of the crew or the situation at hand, don't dismiss them and select options such as "it'll be alright." They don't mind Henry flirting with them though, assuming you pass skill checks. After travelling to the Kuttenberg region, you will be able to talk to them freely in Suchtal Fortress. You will be filthy though, so go to the baths to get cleaned up before talking to them. When you return, select the dialogue option to share a bed with Katherine, who will find it funny but not distasteful. After this, Katherine will travel to Kuttenberg and work in a tavern undercover. During her service, a side quest, the Fifth Commandment, will become available. One of her co-workers has been murdered and she's not sure if it's because someone has discovered Katherine's identity. Follow the quest to its conclusion and you will eventually come up against the two perpetrators, Mandalina and her servant. Katherine will want Mandalina dead there and then, and if you want to be in better standing with Katherine, it's better to kill Mandalina there and then rather than her going to trial. Later, Katherine will go undercover in Sigismund's army's camp where she has another side quest for Henry, the Stalker. A Cuman in the camp has been following her and has even stolen her shoe. Katherine wants you to figure out who it is, and there are a few ways to figure out who it is. If you found Mutton Troskowitz, you can take Katherine's other shoe to track down the scent where you will find it in a tent. Otherwise, there is a Cuman who leans against a wagon just outside the baths during the day called Chakan. You can follow him back to his tent and find the missing shoe. It's best to deal with the situation peacefully so as not to draw attention. Warn Chakan and inform Katherine of how you found out who it was. Towards the end of the game though, players will find themselves besieged in Suchtal Fortress for over a month. Katherine is extremely worried about the situation and how the men of the group are going to get everyone killed. Again, understand Katherine's point of view and select the dialogue options expressed too. You'll be able to tell which is the romancing one again by that love heart symbol. Eventually, Henry will have to sneak out of Suchtal Fortress and before you leave, Katherine will meet you on the ramparts. As for Hans, Henry and Hans's bromance can blossom into a romance and he can do so by continuing to be his faithful servant. Occasionally, there will be dialogue options that will have a heart next to them, such as here. Select these if you want to romance Hans. Eventually, again, at Suchtal Fortress, before you depart, there is the option to speak with Hans before you go, and he will tell you a story about two knights. Remark that the two knights sound like Henry and Hans, and you will get the option to kiss him. Another character where there's a bit of legwork involved is Margaret, and in a mill to the southwest of Billany in the Kuttenberg region, you can hear a woman screaming for help from inside a locked barn, just here. If you help her, she'll run off before the miller returns with a guard as Margaret was stealing from him. You can either pay the fine or talk your way out of it. Afterwards, you can find her begging at the inn that is the crossroads between Miskowitz and Kuttenberg. There, she will tell you why she had to rob the miller, listen to what she says, and don't choose antagonistic responses. Margaret will reveal that she stole the money for her friend Inezhka, who used to work at the mill with her and has since gone missing since the miller got her pregnant and drove her away. When trying to find Inezhka, she says she was attacked by bandits, blah blah blah. It's this big, long story, but basically, go along with it. If you offer to give her money outright, you won't be able to romance them and Margaret will leave. Essentially, what she's asking you to do is that there's this man, Latzek in Kuttenberg, who bought poison to kill his wife to marry a younger woman and get her dowry, and Margaret wants to use this knowledge to blackmail Latzek into paying a ransom. For the plan to work, you need to bring Margaret a noblewoman's dress, and you need to don your best charisma buffing gear as well as find a sleeping potion. With everything set in place, meet Margaret in Kuttenberg and head to the tavern Latzek is drinking at and speak with them. When Latzek gets up to use the toilet, pour the sleeping potion into his drink. Things, of course, don't go to plan, and you'll need to follow Latzek home with Margaret and blackmail him. Finally, Margaret will thank you and offer to kiss you. If you accept, you'll have the time well spent buff as well as a coin purse that is 250 groschen lighter, as Margaret will make off with some of your cash. Go figure.
Oh, aye.
But that's not all, because throughout Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 there are more fleeting romances. The first of which is Doubravka, who can be found during the Wedding Crashers quest, after securing an invitation to the wedding at Samin with either Miller Krazel or the Takov blacksmith Radovan. Here, you can talk to an older lady, Doubravka's mother, who will ask you to dance with her daughter Doubravka. Approach Doubravka and ask her for a dance. Doubravka will be hesitant, but you can select either don't worry about the people or you're not just going to sit in the corner. Doubravka is not a very good dancer though, and you will take damage as she steps on your toes.
How much longer? The bottom foot was mine.
Afterwards, lie about her being a good dancer and having good social skills. After this, you have to complete another task before you can proceed, but after that, talk to her again and she'll express an interest in you which you can reciprocate, and just remember to put your clothes back on afterwards. Next, in the quest for victory, there are 2 people that you can go with. Again, this is a case of one or the other, so dealer's choice, if you will. First, let's start with Widow Johanka of Zhernov. Johanka has heard of Henry's escapades and wants to know about your story, and you need to select the following options. I'll be glad to tell you what happened. This is a medium scholarship difficulty. Either it was a lovely day for bathing, Lord Hanish entrusted us with delivering a message, or Margaret Jobst wants to end the war. Typically, I try and opt for the skill check that has the highest rating. Next, select They Almost Killed Us, humorously. And finally, the bailiff was right to punish us. Next, Johanka will ask you to tell her friend who is outside, but this is just a ploy to get away from the scribe and Father Nicodemus, as she wants to talk to you in private. Select the dialogue option, I think I can convince you, and that has that love heart next to it. Time will skip until the next morning, however, so be sure to have completed any tasks during the banquet. The other person who can take your fancy during this quest is Black Bartoush, and he's leaning by the wall behind the table. One of the dialogue options makes Henry mention the pretty girls, like, have you got your eye on anyone? Because, you know, he's Henry, wahey. But Black Bartoush indicates he's not exactly interested in them. In response, select, I reckon I know what you're getting at, and then, shall we spend the rest of the evening alone to romance them?
I'd rather spend the rest of the evening with you.
Now, this next character I unfortunately wasn't able to get any footage for, and they are the equally unfortunately named Lousy Mary, who can be found in the Kuttenberg Bathhouses as part of the quest into the underworld that sees you tracking down Goatskin, a man said to be spying for a rich lord. This is a main quest, so you can't really miss this one. You need to speak with them when you're trying to find Goatskin, and she'll invite you for a drink, and afterwards, the sins of the flesh. But that's everyone in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 that you can smooch, and yeah, well, there you go, I guess. If you liked this video or found it useful, be sure to give us a little thumbs up and subscribe to the Radio Times Gaming YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
How I long to hold you tight.
I can hardly breathe as it is.